Hi, Anthony. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Make a traffic stop, and dispatch informs me that the subject has a warrant, and I detain him pending confirmation of the warrant. Can I then ask them for consent to search the vehicle because I believe that there's other criminal activity going on, such as drugs?
Yeah. Now, where are you from? Texas?
Florida.
Oh, upper Florida. Right.
Yes,
Like
sir.
the Panhandle?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the answer is yes. So the case I want to use there is United States versus Watson, 1976. And there, the Supreme Court said that just because a person may be in arrest-like custody, right, in handcuffs, in the back of a police car, even in your situation, the guy's not formally arrested yet, but he's on his way, right?
Correct.
But the point is, just because the person is really like in arrest-like custody does not mean that they cannot give consent to search. And I can tell you right now, my friends, many, many people, the cops, think that if a person is under arrest or in handcuffs or things like that, that they cannot legally give consent to search because they feel that it's going to be coercion. Is that kind of how what you're getting feedback on? Like that's kind of things you heard?
Yes, and I have a follow on to that, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead right now. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Scenario traffic stop. The person is DWLSR with knowledge.
But back up. I'm missing something. What'd you say?
They make a traffic stop, and the subject is driving while license suspended or revoked.
That's what I'm missing. Driving while license suspended. Okay.
Right. And
yeah,
they're going to arrest him at that point, still can ask for consent and he can give it.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that really is the epitome or the holding of Watson, right? Is that a person under arrest still has the mental capacity to and the authority to give consent to search. And so the point is that being under arrest is one factor under voluntariness. Now, I do want to say this though, right? I don't want cops to think that, hey, if you get consent to search from somebody who's under arrest, it's the same thing. The articulation and the legal issues are the same as if the person's free to leave. I think we can agree, right, that if the person is free to go, the level of coercion surrounding that encounter is much less than if they're in the back of a police car, right?
Yes.
So what the court is looking for here is that you want to do things proactively to reduce or minimize the level of coercion. And you do things like, hey, speaking with them in a conversational tone, don't badgering the person. The one thing that the Supreme Court liked in Watson was letting them know they have a right to refuse. Now, in Florida, unlike some states like Colorado and some other states, in New Jersey, you don't have to tell them they have a right to refuse. However, and I generally speaking don't recommend that because a lot of people take you up on it. However, when you have a situation where the person is in handcuffs, especially in the back of the police car, under arrest or not, and you're seeking their consent, it is a pro tip, you should tell them they have a right to refuse, among other good practices, not surround them and so forth, when you ask for that consent, because that helps prove that they were not coerced into consent. So the answer is U.S. versus Watson, U.S. Supreme Court. That's good case law in Florida, which is a Fourth Amendment state, as you know. Your
Yes.
state constitution requires that you comply with the U.S. Supreme Court, and that's my answer. U.S. versus Watson.
That's great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, my friend. All right. Now, one thing I would have said if you were still on the mic, but I'll just tell you real quick. It does help if you are going to get their consent to search their car. I've seen people on the arrest search house, give consent to search houses. It does help if they're on scene and you don't take them away. I think that's kind of obvious, but sometimes I've seen it where the cops will get consent to search a person's home as a crime scene without a warrant, and they take the guy away to process him. Not a pro tip.